She's got one of the most contagious smiles
That's
I've
a
ever seen.
beautiful smile.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, get a hold of yourself, Alan. All right. I love you. God, we love you. And I'm thankful for a program that points us to you. That we're given the tools, but you give us the courage and the strength to use the tools. So God, help us tonight to hear this story, but understand, I believe we all in this room want the outcome, but sometimes we just don't want the process because the process can be difficult. So God, I pray that tonight we'll hear encouragement and see what happens when we're willing to work the program. So God, use Priscilla in an incredible way. Speak through her. God, I pray you'll calm her nerves and just help her to know in her heart that she's greatly loved. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
It's that time. It's testimony time. This is the time that we get to witness someone's story, their walk of faith, their hurts, their habits, and their hang-ups.
In the church, we're called to encourage each other each and every day. This is one of the ways that we do that. So listen closely and see what God has done.
Bear with me, I am super nervous.
We love you.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Priscilla and I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. I am a survivor of domestic violence. I am in recovery from meth addiction, self-sabotage, food addiction, and many more things. I'm still discovering. I was born in 1987 in Mexico. I am the daughter of Arturo Loya and Elizabeth Ramirez. My childhood was great in Mexico. In 1995, we moved to Texas. My parents came to make something of themselves for a better future for my brother and I. It was as if we arrived on a whole new planet. We enrolled in school, where soon we would have to learn English as our second language. Elementary was fun, but it was in junior high that I started getting involved in becoming an honor roll student. It was in junior high that I knew I wanted to play the violin, and I was good at it. In high school, I took a police academy class. I was in ROTC, I was captain on my drill team, and tried soccer. Anything you can think of, I tried. Life was great. Once I got to 11th grade, that is when I met the father of my firstborn child. It was shortly after that he proposed to me, and we decided to get married. Soon after, we decided we were going to talk to my parents and let them know that we were in love at each other, and no matter what, we were going to get married. Not caring about their opinions. Well, we showed up at my parents' house and we told them. Of course, they said no. It was as if they were selfish. I was grown and I knew what was best for me. Now I have to remind you that they are 100% old school Mexicans. Strict. With me being in love, I told my dad I would marry without his consent. That broke him. I had, for the first time in my life, seen my dad's heart broken. And did not really care at the time because I knew it all. In 2004, we got married. By 2005, I delivered my firstborn, Melanie. By the end of that year, we got divorced due to his infidelity with my so-called best friend. That is when I learned my parents were right. I had no business being married. We were young and naive. I guess at age 16, I thought I knew it all. My parents taught me that you get married and you fight for your marriage. And we tried working it out, but it just didn't work. I couldn't recover from his cheating. I felt betrayed. In my household, my parents, they were always together. They respected each other, helped each other grow. Yeah, they had their arguments and whatnot, but never cheated. So I called my dad and I told him what had happened. He picked me up and I moved back in with my parents, with my daughter. And that's that. Fast forward to 2008, we had moved to Alvarado, Texas. I started working at a daycare and loved it. They allowed me to bring my daughter as I worked there. Shortly, I met my second husband and abuser, the father of my daughters, Madeline and Meriden. 3 months passed since I worked there. We saw each other, so the owner introduced us. We exchanged numbers, hit it off. He was caring, loving, he made me feel special. In 2009, we decided we were going to get married, and we started attending his church. I converted to being a Christian from being a Catholic. That was the first time I ever accepted Jesus in my heart. I love that he was a godly man, and he was really involved in his church. We talked to his pastor to see if he would marry us. Not only was I becoming his wife, but also a stepmother. After our wedding, everything changed. I could not understand how a person could go from this loving person to this arrogant, self-centered, not only mentally, physically, verbally human being. There was nothing that I could do that was right in his eyes. Everything I did was wrong. I remember the first argument we had. He threw in my face that there was nothing I could do or run to tell my parents because he owned me. I remember sitting in shock, like this is not real. He must be playing. This only happens in movies. As time went on, the arguments got worse to a push and a shove. There were times that he would come home to a clean house, dinner made, kids taken care of, and he would still find something to argue about. I remember asking God to help me, to give me patience, and to let him understand him. He had just had a rough day at work, I told myself plenty of times. In 2010, we found out we were pregnant with identical twin boys. We were excited, so I thought. I know I was. To me, it was like a new beginning. Deep down, I thought this would change him back to that loving person I had fallen in love with. At the time, he had started drinking heavily, smoking marijuana. It was as every weekend that this happened. Not only was I pregnant, but lonely. He had secluded me. He did not allow me to see my parents without his permission. He did not allow my parents to visit without them first calling us to let us know that they would be coming over. He did not allow me to have any friends, or did my daughter, Melanie. All we had was him. He used to tell me that everything he did and the way he was for our own good, because he loved me. A couple of months passed. I believe I was 30 weeks pregnant. We had an argument. He had been drinking all day. I remember telling him that he needed to stop drinking. He had had enough. He should go to sleep and sleep it off. As soon as I said that, it was as if I sparked a match. I had made him furious. I had seen him mad, but never like this. He looked at me and said, "Who do you think you are?" I had seen him mad. Who do you think you are? Trying to tell me what to do. Go inside. I refused and I told him, I'm going to my mom's. That is the first time I spoke back to him. He grabbed my arm and pushed me down inside to the bedroom. He pushed me against the bed and held me down as I yelled that he was hurting me and pushing on my stomach. He repeatedly told me that I wasn't going nowhere, that he dared me to go to my parents. He told me that if I ever told anybody about him, that there would be consequences. He didn't let me go. All I could do was cry, thinking, what am I going to do? That was the first time he threatened me. A week passed and I started feeling sick, not being able to hold anything down. I proceeded to call my OBGYN. They told me to go to the hospital. I told him, and he said that he had to go to work to let him know what had happened. When I arrived, they did tests, and the doctors came in and told me that I had to be transferred to a different hospital, that this was serious, and that there was nothing that he can do, that he was sorry for my loss. My heart sank. I was in shock, and all I could hear was him telling me that he was sorry for my loss. I rushed over to John Peter Smith Hospital in Fort Worth. I was admitted to the hospital, and all I saw was doctors coming in, and no one would tell me anything. 2 hours passed. when they brought me in a phone, and on the other side was my OBGYN telling me that baby A had passed away and that there was nothing they could do for baby B. They would have to wait for him to pass to proceed in induction and deliver both babies. I grabbed the phone and called my husband. I called 20 times, if not more, and no answer. I called my brother and told him the news. I asked if he could go and try to get a hold of my husband and tell him what was happening. My brother ran down the street to our mobile home and found my husband showering. He told him what happened, and he said he would get off when he would go after he get off of work. I could not believe he did not care. My parents showed up at the hospital, and there I was, making excuses for him. Once again, I still could not tell my parents what was happening in my marriage because I was scared for my life and my daughters. And now dealing with this guilt of thinking that me losing my twin boys was because of him holding me down. In the end, the doctors ruled it twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, which did not change how I felt. When he later showed up, like nothing ever happened, there I sat once again, lying for my abuser, pretending everything was okay. Fast forward to 2013. God blessed me with a daughter, Madeline, and a year later in 2014 in Maryland. Then things went from bad to worse. I will never forget. It was Mother's Day, and we had argued because I did not want to go to his family's house to celebrate. I had let my kids go to my parents. He left to see his family. I took off for the very first time to my family's home without his permission. I did not want to be around his family. I knew he would talk badly about me and make them believe that I was this horrible wife to him and a bad stepmom to his kids. So I got to spend time with my parents. That was the first time that I told my parents that he would be upset I did not go with him, and told him that I had to get back before he made it back home. I asked if I could leave the kids there with them. They said yes. And I took off to go back home. 4 hours passed before he arrived. He came home and threw some flowers in my face and said, my mom said Happy Mother's Day. This made me angry. I remember I got this overwhelming feeling from deep down in my soul. It was like a rush of guts to stand up to him for myself. So I started telling him that I was done. I had had enough. That I was going to leave and tell my parents everything, that I was not going to let my kids go through this no more. As I was yelling, I saw his hand reach for my shirt, and then he slapped me and dragged me to the master bedroom, reached for an extension cord that we had in there, and proceeded to get on top of me and wrap it around my neck. All I could think is, I cannot die. What are my kids going to do without me? I guess I had stopped moving at some point that he let go. Stood up, proceeded to kick me and tell me, as he was walking away, I dare you to go tell anybody. Come on, you're so tough. Go tell whoever. And this time you will not be able to see another day. I cannot even describe what I felt. My phone rang. It was my dad. He said, I will be there early in the morning to drop off the girls. I stood up looking in the mirror to see how bad it was. Then I stood in the bathroom looking for a way to hide the marks before the morning. My dad had showed up that morning while my husband was walking out to work. He shook my dad's hand and left like nothing ever happened. I had put a collar shirt on to hide the bruises. I guess he saw that there was something wrong because he asked if I was okay. I said yes, He, of course, did not believe me. After he questioned me, I broke down and showed him the bruises. My dad rushed me to his truck and left straight to the police station. Once I told everybody everything, I felt at peace. I felt safe. It was as if a weight had lifted off my chest. Yes, I was scared at the time. I thought to myself, I am nothing. I have lost everything. I depended so much on this man that I had literally had nothing without him. Not knowing that God was by my side the whole time. All those times I cried out to God to get me out of the situation, and me thinking that he did not hear me, I was wrong. I sit here today alive because of God. Shortly after everything happened with my ex, I remember feeling lost, still trying to find my way alone. I had my parents, but I felt like I did not belong. Most of the people ask me, why did I stay so long? And all I can say is that I believed him. I believed every promise he made me. I believed that he would change. Also, I had never been through abuse. I did not know how to tell people or what they would think of me. Also, I think I just did not want my marriage to fail again. I mean, who wants to get married just to get divorced? I didn't. I want to be happy and make it work. But that was not what God had for me, not for my life. No one deserves to be hurt. And if you are in a situation like I was, please reach out. Reach out. You are worth it. People will listen, and we will be there for you. You are stronger than you think. Don't wait like I did. You will make it one day at a time. Not long after everything had happened, I fell into drug addiction. I got introduced to meth, and I had finally found something that helped me numb the pain and made me feel powerful. One day I just left and didn't look back. I left my kids with my parents and took off to follow the drug, only to find myself lost in a world of darkness. There was not a day that I did not feel ashamed of leaving my kids behind. Every day I torture myself for that. Every day I smoked more to the point of not seeing a way out ever. The more I thought about my kids, the more I would fall into the shame of addiction. This video is how I describe using meth and how smoking meth felt to me.
They call it a drug, but that word is far too soft. This isn't weed or whiskey. Meth is something else entirely. Meth is sorcery. When I was in a script, I didn't feel high. I felt haunted. It started like any ritual, a pipe, a flame, a crystal shard, a moment of silence, then the inhale. And with it, something enters. It doesn't come as light, it comes as a shadow. It wraps itself around your spine and begins to whisper. At first, those whispers feel like power. You think you're unlocking something, limitlessly energy, untouchable confidence, euphoria. Sleep? No. Who would want to sleep through something as good as this? But it's a lie. You aren't unlocking anything. You're being bound. Meth doesn't just alter your mood, it alters your soul. I've watched people lose their reflection in the mirror, watch their eyes shift from windows to prisons. I know it because it happened to me. I wasn't myself anymore. I was a puppet. And the strings weren't just chemical, they were spiritual. People don't understand until they've lived it. Meth is demonic. It doesn't just take your health. It takes your teeth, your money, your kids. It takes all your will. It tears open a spiritual door that most people never knew existed. And once that door is open, something comes through. Something dark, something ancient, something hungry. That's why meth is unlike anything else. It doesn't just kill, it curses. And that's why most people can't get free on their own. Rehab, jail programs, they help some. But when something truly breaks free from mess, there's almost always a deeper story, a holy one. Meth is sorcery. And you don't break a spell with willpower. You break it with deliverance. That's why I speak loudly now. That's why I risk sounding crazy, because I was crazy. I lived in a realm of darkness that most people only glimpsed in nightmares, and now I am free. So if you are listening to this and meth has its claws in you, understand this. You are not battling addiction. You are battling a spirit. You're in war for your soul, but you're not alone. The same Jesus who set me free is reaching for you now. Right now. You don't need a lighter. You need light. You don't need another hit. You need to be hit by grace. Meth is sorcery, but Jesus in recovery is the spell breaker.
One day, while looking at the pipe, I begged God to do something that would make me hate this drug. It was then that I found out I was pregnant with my son Ezekiel. A week later, I ended up in jail. I was serving a 1-year sentence. When I came out, I was sober, moved back in with my parents. I was able to realize that time in jail was God's way of answering my prayers. Afterwards, I worked hard on getting my kids back. That involved cutting everyone I knew off and out of my life. I also got off of social media and never looked back. Today I sit here sober, alive, and alive, and telling you my story only by the grace of God. I want to tell you that if this is your first time here attending CR, please keep coming back. I remember my mom telling me about CR and me saying, I am sober. I don't need help. Yeah, right. The first time I walked through those doors was a woman's graduation night. I sat behind everyone thinking, this is impressive. People are graduating. The week passed and I came again, and it was celebration night. I saw so many people getting chips and celebrating. I told myself I want to feel what they are feeling. I want to feel that purpose. So I stayed for newcomers, and that is the day I met Margot, my best friend now. A year later, I enrolled in my 12-step study. I then met my best friend and sponsor, Stephanie, and my sisters in Christ, where I learned how to heal and become a better version of myself. So please, if you are sitting here for the first time, second, third, please keep coming back. Give this program a chance. If you are thinking that you are perfect and do not need this, just try it. You will be amazed at how wrong you are. Recovery is not just for drug abuse. It is for all kinds of recovery. I sit here showing you how amazing CR is and what it can do for your life. I want to thank God for all that He has protected me from, along with my mom, my brother, and my daughter, Melanie. For loving me and supporting me. Pastor Allen, for always being there, guiding and teaching us, for loving me and accepting me. To my dad in heaven, I hope you are proud of me. Lastly, to all of you for taking the time to see me say